Hello and welcome to the caffeine edition of Hobby Hotline on Bench Clear Media this morning. We got our Saturday morning show every Saturday, and I'm joined by Chris Harris and Victor Roman. And gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Obviously, if you're watching...
Good afternoon for those of you in Newfoundland. It's 12:30.
Excellent point. We don't miss a thing.
Get that in.
And we were all wearing blue today. So if you're in the chat room, please remember to wear blue or we cannot put your comments up. Good morning, Jamar. Okay, so some interesting news this week. I think people have heard about it by now, but I want to get your opinions. That tiny little company, that little Fanatics company made another acquisition and bought PWCC. Obviously, this has some impact. How much impact and what impact is I think, really to be determined, but I know we all have some thoughts on it. My general thought is if PWCC has truly cleaned up their act, they needed the financing, and this solves a problem and it gives you another strong marketplace. The downside is Fanatics has expanded even more, and they've got longer tentacles. So I certainly see both sides of this, and I'll go a little deeper. But Chris, what do you think?
Well, if Fanatics kind of came in about a year and a half ago, and they announced then that they wanted to be like the be-all, end-all of trading cards. They wanted to manufacture, license, and distribute cards. Well, they got that with Topps and eventually getting the basketball and football license. And now they want to be the place where you go to buy and sell cards. So,
and vault them. And you can vault them.
And you can vault them. And why go through the trouble of building your own marketplace from scratch and building your own vault from scratch when you can just, cut a check and buy another company out and buy up their marketplace and buy up their vault. So, but the 800-pound gorilla of the hobby is continuing to vertically integrate. So,
well, I think they're up to 900 pounds now.
900 with this, yeah.
Yeah. Victor.
Yeah.
So is this a monopoly? Is this just good business?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? And by the way, giving the crowd a chance to get on, I love the blue inlays that you did here on the StreamYard to match our blue t-shirts. That's genius, man.
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. Blue Saturday. I think,
right.
That's an old New Order song.
Right. So the PWCC news, right, it was like when I first heard about it, I started to think about this, and it all depends on what hat I got on, right? So if I have my collector hat on, I can actually I can give two craps about Fanatics buying PWCC because it doesn't really affect me one iota, right? But now if I put on my dad hat on, right, now I'm a protector, right? Because I'm a dad, and so as a dad, I start to see like incoming danger, like my spidey senses start to tingle, right? And so it starts to drum up a lot of questions in my head as to, hey, what's going on here, right? So then there's concern. But then if I have my business hat on, right, and I'm now the provider, it's really business, man. And Fanatics has a right, as any of us do in the great nation of America. We have the right to purchase what we want, so long as we do it legally, so long as we have the funds to do it. We have the right to buy whatever we want. And when I looked at the, what do we call it, the mission statement of Fanatics, or the tagline of Fanatics is what?
That's a good question.
officially licensed everything. Right.
Everything.
So
Wow. At least they're humble about it.
right. So they've and we kind of know the history of how they've done business in the past. But I've got I'm going to drop a video on this tomorrow, but I came across a video of Rob Veras. Now, in the past, I've always been very
Burbank Sports Cards.
Burbank Sports Cards. Yep, I've always been one to tell my audience, anyways, to be careful who you listen to, right? And Rob Veras is a guy that I have so much respect for, because he tells it like it is, and he's not bound by any sponsorships. And when he sees something that he doesn't like, he pretty much tells it like it is. Well, he released an Instagram reel yesterday that really was eye-opening, and his topic was the narrative of Fanatics becoming a monopoly. And he was under the impression that there's absolutely no way that Fanatics can become a monopoly. And his justification for that is that there's 140 years of sports cards being produced. There's over 20 billion sports cards in Beckett database right now. How are they going to control that? How are they going to control that market? There's no way they can. And when we start to think about it that way, how do you think? You think they're going to own PSA? You think they're going to own Panini? And Panini, really, when we think about Panini's international, and Panini's got just as much deep pockets as Fanatics does. And how are they going to own it internationally? I mean, possibly they can in the future, but I don't. In the immediate, I think it's there's no way. Now, they can own a slice of it, they can own a majority of the pie, but for them to control everything, with the rich history that the hobby has, is just it's impossible. And I don't know, thoughts on that, and I would love to hear what the chat has to say about it.
Well, I think the concern that you talked about is being echoed, and I don't know if this is all going to go on the screen, but Ziggy, no, Michael, hello. More concerned with all the exclusive licenses is his big concern. He'll have no choice on where to buy licensed product in the future, that it's all going to come through Fanatics that way. So I think that's a reasonable concern, maybe more so than just having a vaulting, and marketplace system. Yeah. Because my thought is if they didn't buy PWCC, one of two things were going to happen. They were going to start their own, and it would take a while, but they would build it up, or they'd buy somebody else. I mean, there's other companies out there that I could see, maybe a ComC with their new app rolling out, but they've got a huge amount of buyers and sellers, and that's what you need. So part of the acquisition of PWCC is you already have that buyer and seller base. So to me, in talking, Victor, about your dad hat and your business hat, I love that. And the business hat, this makes perfect sense for Fanatics. They got it from all reports at a pretty low price. And the problems that PWCC was having, a lot of those are now solved by the financial backing. Now, PWCC has their own historical issues, but the idea that you might have new management, new ownership, and maybe a clean slate, and I would guess eventually a name change. I'm just guessing there. And now Fanatics gets, and I made this point earlier as well, and it's true. You get the vault. So it saves them a lot of infrastructure and work there. So that's my thought, is from the business side, because I don't think Fanatics really cares much about the other sides.
Yeah. And my concern really is going to be pricing. When you look at what they've done with like the jersey market or the hat market, they've bought everybody out and they've got exclusive rights. But when they finally get there, the prices of jerseys, I can't, to me, $250, $350, $400 for a jersey.
Thank you, by the way, as my son's trying to get a jersey and I'm taking out a third mortgage. It's ridiculous.
And that's what happens when they have control of everything. It's their market now. They can dictate whatever price they want. And that's the biggest concern that I feel. But
And a lot of their souvenir replica jerseys aren't exactly of great quality either.
Really?
But they sell them for a real steep price still.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and there's no other options. When you have all the licenses and they're going to have them all.
I just hope Upper Deck stands firm. I just hope, I don't know, with that relationship between Upper Deck and the NHL, I hope they stand firm and not sell out. I don't know.
Well, I guess that's the next question. And I'd be interested in the chat on this too, is in the hobby, we've seen so many mergers and acquisitions and, what's next? Because something's going to be coming down the pipeline. Is it Fanatics related? Is it Panini or Leaf or ComC or, Golden? What impact does that have on the hobby? And I'd be curious what you guys thought, I guess, as far as a macro view. And I love this comment. Yes. Fanatics mortgage. That is literally, they should offer a financing program right inside the stadium next to the jerseys. I've got twin 12-year-old boys, guys.
Over 30 years.
Yeah, no, I've got twin 12-year-old boys. Going to a ball game is ridiculous. But from the macro view, and I guess Victor, I'll ask you, mergers and acquisitions are going to continue. Is it going to be good? Is it going to, do we want more small players entering? What's your thought on that?
Well, I think going back to Rob's video that he released yesterday, towards the end of it, he was saying, our job as, and his audience was more towards card shop owners, that type of thing. But I think the principles apply to collectors as well. But it's really what we make of it. We now have to, at our end, we have to pivot, perhaps reinvent how we do things. We have to, we have to get creative and adapt to whatever circumstance we're faced with. And that's kind of the big picture is, things are going to be different. There's a disruption in how we have done things for so many years, but that disruption doesn't mean that we're going to die. That disruption just basically means that we're going to need to pivot and make adjustments so that we can continue doing whatever it is that we're doing.
Chris Harris. Yeah. Is there a chance that some of these mergers and acquisitions could be positive? Could Fanatics actually make things better or more efficient? Get the trains running on the tracks for some of these companies. I know you were talking about an early release. Is that a result of better management?
I mean, at least, this is really the first year that we've seen Fanatics' influence on Topps Baseball and their product lines. And, with Big League, I give them credit for trying something different there. Mm-hmm. With bringing back a tiered 90s style tiered base set. Heritage was supposed to come out next week, but I think it's supposedly out now. Heritage normally comes out in March anyway, so it's still kind of late. But if they're able to get products out on time better, that's got to be a good thing.
I guess that's kind of my point. It's not, to me, it's not bad inherently to have change.
Right.
That doesn't have to be a negative. There can be a positive. And I like to be positive on the hobby. So does competition, what is it? Steel, iron sharpens iron. Is that one of the situations, Victor, where you could see, maybe collectors, they've got PSA, Golden, which is huge. Card Ladder, could they make another move? Is that?
I think so. I think PSA I think is in good position to be that iron sharpens iron. And I love what Chris was saying about what we've seen good things, good changes, positive changes with the big league, and I like that what they did there. But then at the same time, they release things that get me concerned again, like what they did with Bowman University, Victor Wembanyama autos. They went the redemption route, and it's like, okay, I thought we were not going to do that anymore, Tops. But then, here we go again with the redemption thing, and I don't know. I see positive things happening, and then I see like here we go again type of things happening. So a lot of concern there for me. But yeah, I think PSA is in good position. I think Panini, they're still in the game. I think they're the ones really in position to take them on, mano a mano type of thing. And they have the money to do it. Now, if they continue with the non-licensed route, hey, maybe they can be they can still be a player in the game. Leaf is still around too. Let's not forget about Leaf. So do they control everything? No, not yet. Is there possibilities that there can be some good mergers between Panini and Leaf and Upper Deck, and maybe they, create something new and different? But that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to merge and come up and pivot and create something that's going to go against this 100-pound elephant or 2,000-pound gorilla in the room.
100-pound elephant's kind of small.
I think we just changed the number and the animal every time. Yeah. Chris, I know that the new releases are something you pay a lot of attention to, and there's comments about quality control on the Chrome specifically. Is that one of the areas that you think needs to be addressed?
Well, I haven't actually opened any Bowman this year, but I have noticed that some of the cards are coming out of the pack bowed. It's not as extreme as it was in like 2010, where they were like, yeah. Maybe they're just using another printer to make. I don't know how they're.
Well, this would be the scary part if they had a grading company.
Yeah.
And I think, Victor, conflict of interest for Fanatics to buy a grading company?
I don't think so. I really don't.
Really?
No. I would love for them to, I would love to see them buy one, to be honest with you. And they already have one. I've seen Fanatics slabs online. I don't know to the extent.
Yeah, they've slabbed cards, but those slabs haven't been graded.
Oh, they're not graded. Okay.
No, just it's their sales packaging.
I got kind of like I know they do this a lot with like in-person autographed trading cards. They'll throw it in one of their slabs, and that slab also serves as the certificate of authenticity. But they don't put a number grade on it, though.
Question from Defects for Life. Does Fanatics start impacting sale of non-Topps modern cards, i.e. vintage via PWCC platform? Well, I guess the question is, does the modern cards affect the vintage cards in general? And, I think there's some connection between the markets, and I think there's an overall market impact, but I don't know that a new Bowman release has a huge impact on the vintage, but maybe quality control issues get back into that conversation. It's an interesting question. The vintage market has slowed, so the idea that vintage is untouchable is not true, but their slide has certainly been a lot less. I guess from you guys, are you still buying modern? Are you buying vintage? Are you holding out because the market's kind of wacko?
I don't buy modern.
I don't buy new. I buy modern, but it hasn't really
Yeah. I don't buy packs. Let me rephrase that. I will buy singles, but I don't buy packs.
Yeah.
Question, guys. What if Topps made pre-graded cards and they included license and authenticity? Do we need a third-party grader? Well, I guess the question is there, do we trust them grading their own stuff?
Yeah. There was, I think 20 years ago, they made a product where you got a PSA graded card in every box. But again, they sent them off to PSA first. Yeah, I think it was called Topps Reserve.
Huh.
And I think Fleer made a similar product with BGS, but those only lasted maybe 1 or 2 years. So
now, doesn't Fanatics have tie-ins with CSG?
Well, there's a lot of, this is a good thing, and people in the chat, please, fill us in if there's something we're missing. But they have a tie-in now with PWCC, who subs with a bunch of companies, and that's a partnership arrangement. And then I thought they also had an arrangement with somebody else, and that might have been CSG. And so, yeah, I mean, you're talking about, I think that's why people are thinking they might want to buy a grading company, because right now they're subbing all that out. So that's a great point. Question here. Bowman with PSA for 3 years. It's ending though. Well, that's interesting. And then just to clarify, Ziggy says it's not graded. It's a spec card that is sealed in a slab and guaranteed. No need to grade it. It's like buying sealed coins from the government, right? They mint the coin and seal it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's an interesting point. If they just gave you an authenticity slab and you're getting it right from the manufacturer, does that make you feel more comfortable than a raw card?
A little, I guess.
No, not at all.
I don't know.
Jeff's got a question here. Can Panini make licensed stickers for NBA, NFL after Fanatics gets those licenses? Topps makes NHL stickers right now. That's a great question. I do not know the answer.
It depends on the license. I think the NHL license with Upper Deck is only for trading cards, but not for anything else. So that's how Topps was able to get into hockey, by making stickers that just happen to be the size of trading cards. I think they're slightly oversized though. Like I think they're like 3x4 or something. I think trading cards and trading stickers may be considered two completely different classes of collectible with two completely different classes of licenses. I don't know if the sticker license is also included with the trading card license, though. I know Topps has had the baseball sticker license for a while now. I would assume that those two licenses, the cards and the stickers in baseball, are bundled together. Topps has Chrome stickers now. Wow.
Well, they have that license. So I guess the question is if somebody doesn't have the license.
Doesn't have the license. I would imagine Fanatics would just want to keep the license, even if they don't want to do anything with it, just to keep it away from a Panini or an Upper Deck making an MLB or whatever licensed product.
Well, since we're talking about cards, I feel like showing a couple.
There we go.
Anybody make some purchases or anything come in the mail this week? Victor, you got anything?
Yeah, I did. I submitted a 1987 Barry Bonds O-Pee-Chee. I'm a big fan of the O-Pee-Chee because so much of the narrative is junk wax, right? And I that bothers me. But I've also have a lot of content out there about O-Pee-Chee product, and I was I bought a couple of collections like 5 or 6 years ago that have been sitting here doing nothing, right? So I decided to start going through them, and I came across this 87 Barry Bonds O-Pee-Chee. And I was looking at this thing. I was surprised on the condition of it. I said, "Man, this thing is beautiful.
That's a
in really
decently
good shape."
expensive card, yeah.
Yeah. And I went and I was looking at it. It's a PSA 10 is averaging about $14,000, and I'm like, wow. But I know I wasn't going to get a 10, right, because of the alleged population control.
Right.
But a 9 is about $600, and an 8 is about $150. So I says, you know what, I'm going to send this one in, and I sent it in. It came back an 8, but I was pleased with an 8. Happy to add this one to the PC. I know, the 86 and the 87 rookie card debate is always going on with Barry Bonds. There you go. The 86 tops traded. But I'm to the point where I'm tired of that I'm getting tired of that conversation. I put an asterisk by both years. And that to me means, it's the 86 cards are debatable. The 87 cards are debatable.
When Victor gives up, then it's a debate.
Yeah.
He just puts an asterisk. We pulled the old Roger Maris, and we're just going to move on.
Asterisk RC, and you know what I like to do? I buy them both. There we go. That solves everything. Have them both in my PC.
That's also. It's funny. We did not talk before the show about this. I sold that card this past weekend at the Pittsburgh show in a 9.
Really? Nice.
It was a client of mine. It was his card. I wish it was my card. But that card I think is a classic card for a certain generation. And then to have the O-Pee-Chee in that condition is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anything else come back before I'm going to show?
That's about it, man. I've been holding my pennies for the national.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm building chase cards on my list right now, so hopefully I'll get to those by the end of the national. I did want to show off. I picked up this 2000 Ovation Upper Deck Ichiro, and you can call it a pre-rookie. You can call it a 7th year Japanese card. But one of the things, if you've never seen this card, these seams on the ball are actually raised, and you can see the press marks on the back. So because it was 2000, the chroming is sensitive to chipping and stuff like that, but it's a pretty reasonable card to get. It was his first American manufacturer, but it was distributed only in Japan, but it was distributed in packs. So for whatever that makes it, I don't know if we put an asterisk on that. But I've become a big fan of this card.
It's a beautiful card.
The term is embossed. Yes.
Yeah.
There was an insert set in the 90s, mid 90s, that was like that design. What about the licensing on the back? Is there any type of licensing on the back?
That's a great question. So it's Upper Deck and MRM.
MRM
license. So
I don't know what MRM is. It's got to be some Japanese related company, right? Yeah.
And the whole back is done in Japanese.
Beautiful. That's an awesome card. You influenced me. Now I want one.
Right. Well, I was influenced by somebody else. So
you're an influencer, Danny.
We can corner the whole market on the Ichiro Ovation. Kevin says my big purchase was a 2020 Utz Pretzels Otani. Nice. I was happy if you just told me Utz Pretzels, but that's good to get a card out of it. And then Steven says, I do the same, Victor. I love 80s baseball rookies, and I buy 86 and 87. Luckily, if you don't care about getting PSA 10s, it's really relatively cheap to get both.
Yep.
And this is a great question. I don't know if you know, Victor, what was the first
2006.
There you go. 2006, Chris, on the rookie card logo. And so that's, I don't know if that comes into the debate, but, what would you call this, Victor?
Because of its, distribution method and the licensing, I typically identify those types of cards as pre-rookie cards.
Chris, how do you look at this as a collector? 7th year?
Yeah, 7th year Japanese base card.
Yeah, absolutely.
No PRC, no nothing.
1987 Donruss Bonds gets upward for ugliest hat worn on a card. We could do a whole show on ugliest cards and sets ever, and there was a lot in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So the other big news this week was PSA has hired the first sports athlete ambassador in their history. It sounds like they've got a deal with Bobby Witt Jr., which if you followed them at all, you've seen him do some promotional work for them before. So they had an existing relationship, but he signed on now as an ambassador. What do you guys think about getting athletes involved in ambassadors, Chris? Is that a good thing for the hobby?
Doesn't hurt. Do these companies need ambassadors though?
Well, that's a good question.
That's the thing. And I do understand that Bobby Witt Jr. does collect cards. But if you're hiring someone that doesn't, I really don't see what the value of that is. So at least Bobby Witt is, kind of one of us. So it's not my money.
No, that's an interesting point that he's an actual collector.
From what I understand, he is. Yeah.
Well, certainly more than a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
And Victor, I wonder, your thoughts. It might not just be PSA. There could be a rivalry. You could have SGC going after Adley Rutschman.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens here? Do you think that affects people's choicing rating? I mean, what's the impact here, or is it just good advertising?
Yeah, I think it's good advertising. It's marketing, right? It's a good marketing thing. I do love the when I do hear collectors or athletes being actual collectors. I know there's a pretty popular show, to me anyways, on MLB Network called MLB Carded. It's on every Sunday afternoon. It's a little 30-minute show, but nobody's really talking about that show, and I love it. I got that thing set to record every week. But they will bring on MLB ball players, and they're talking about their collections and that sort of thing, and what they like, what they get into. And I just think it's so cool when you see Mike Trout talking about his passion for collecting sports cards or any athlete. And to me, that just makes me feel more connected to that player because he gets the collector mentality, right? So I'm a big fan of this. A big fan of PSA. I don't know, is Bobby Witt I like Bobby Witt. Apparently he's a big time collector, so I don't know. I'm just not real pleased with his 240 batting average, but
Victor, can you repeat when that show's on?
Yeah, that's every Sunday afternoon over here by me, Central Time Zone, comes on at 12.
MLB Network,
Carded.
Right? On MLB Network.
On MLB Network, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And Chris, have you had a chance to see the Netflix Golden, or Victor, have either one of you seen
I have
that show?
Not seen it, and quite frankly, from what I understand about it, I really have no interest in seeing
Come on, Chris, you got to get on the hype train, man.
Well, I guess the reason I bring it up is, I've been saying the hobby's going Hollywood, with the Adam Sandler movie. And I wonder if the ambassador route is kind of the next step. Fanatics has ties with all the athletes. Are we going to start seeing, more athletes? We saw, was it, Chris, which release did they have a ton of promotions? Was it Flagship? Series 1, I think they had athletes opening them up.
No, they had, what's his face? Julio Rodriguez and a couple of skits. He's like baking cookies, and out come of the oven come packs of tops or something.
Kind of cheesy, right?
Who else other than collectors actually saw that, though? I don't remember seeing that on like linear television or anything.
I think they ran it on things like MLB Network, but you're right,
Yeah.
so But that's the whole thing is if you have a non-collector, if you do have a Kardashian, promoting, does that really change anybody's behavior in the hobby?
Not
To me,
mine.
it doesn't. Yeah.
No.
No, I did not say I haven't watched the show. I have watched the show. I have feelings on it. I know people involved, but no, I appreciate that. I did watch the show, and you're right, Ziggy. I kind of had to, but there was parts that were enjoyable and parts that it's like any other TV show. You got to fill a certain amount of time every episode. But out of that, one of the things they showed, and I don't know if you guys saw this, was Karl Malone's collection of Olympic jerseys. And the Michael Jordan one from the Dream Team jerseys. That's the key part there. The Dream Team USA jerseys, Karl Malone had the whole team, all autographed, and the Jordan just sold for $3 million.
Wow.
This is crazy to say. It's the second highest Jordan item ever, but it's not anywhere near the highest jersey of all time. I actually thought it was a little bit low. It's autographed to Carl, and all that stuff. But that's coming out of his collection, I thought was interesting. I mean, are we going to start seeing athletes, since they're more involved in the hobby and they're more familiar with collecting? Do you see a point where Bobby Witt later in his career says, hey, I will definitely put these things, into auction so other people can enjoy them? Are we going to start getting more of that connection with the athletes tying together?
I think so. I think so. I think it would be a good move. I love that Karl Malone collection was just, I love the story behind it, right? How he acquired
fill everybody in. Yeah.
Yeah. It was I guess after the game, everybody just kind of like threw their jerseys on the ground and walked out. And I guess Karl Malone's wife just came along and plucked up all the shirts. I'm like, that's such a cool story to have.
Yeah.
The backstory on that. And it was a beautiful collection. My goodness.
Yeah. It's the best load of laundry a wife has ever done.
Yeah.
I think the whole collection, the whole team sold for like 5.6 million, but the Jordan alone sold for 3 million of that. So
wow.
The rest of the team combined sold for less than just the Jordan. So
am I crazy that compared to other things in auctions that seems low? I wonder if that, I hate to say
I don't follow that market, so I don't know.
But it was the Diego Maradona Hand of God jersey went for near 10 million.
10 million. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. The USA Dream Team in '92 was such an epic thing to me to have the autographed Jordan jersey, game used, matched everything. To me, I would put that closer to the Maradona jersey, but obviously I'm
well.
All right, Chris, make the argument for the soccer and the market internationally.
Did Michael Jordan score one of the greatest goals in one of the greatest dunks in basketball history just moments before he got away with one of the lowest forms of cheating in the history of basketball while wearing that shirt? Probably not.
It doesn't have the moment.
Yeah.
But which team is more famous, and did the Dream Team internationally have more of an impact, and who was the leader of that?
Yeah, but
now you're taking Maradona.
I'm taking Maradona. Yeah.
I respect that. Victor, are you a jersey guy?
I am not. I've never got into that part of collecting.
How about autographs?
I used to. I do have quite a bit of autographs, but it's not priority. It's a secondary thing.
On baseballs?
On sports cards.
Oh, on cards.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had the money, are you in on that Jordan jersey?
Specifically just because it's Jordan, not because it's a jersey.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, guys, what's your hobby week looking like?
I think I might go to a card show tomorrow up in Delaware, northern Delaware. Other than that, I got nothing planned. I might head over to Bel Air Sports Cards sometime this week. So
I'll be there this afternoon.
Oh, you will. All right.
Yeah.
You guys close to each other?
He's in Philly and I'm in Baltimore.
I'm Delaware, so
Delaware. But how far are you from the line?
From where?
From the Pennsylvania line. Are you right off 95?
No, I'm in southern Delaware. So
oh, okay. So then I'll see you this afternoon.
About an hour and a half away from Pennsylvania from here. So
I try to hit an LCS every week if I can.
Yeah. The thing is, down here in this part of Delaware, there really are no. In fact, there are no LCSs. So there's one up in Newark that it's been around for a while, but I think ever since COVID started, I think the guy who owns it, it's kind of it's changed a bit. Let's put it that way. It's not really worth going to that much. That often. Really,
yeah.
But really, the only good LCS that's within driving distance is Bel Air, and that's about 2.5 hours from here. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Jeff says if you're in Vegas, the front row card show this weekend, 240 tables. That's definitely a nice size show. The Pittsburgh show I set up last weekend was 240 tables. I actually set up as a dealer, and there were some interesting things. It was nobody was spending over $1,000 on a card, and almost every sale, 50 or less, so I thought that was interesting in the hobby. And this is including Otani and Judge and everybody hot, but it was 240 tables. It was a nice size show. So I encourage people.
Is that the show that used to be at Robert Morris University? Yeah.
And now
the Bobby Moe show.
It's the Monroeville.
No, it's somewhere else. Okay.
I think the National, though, I mean, I don't think people are spending like they typically do because of the National. It just seems to be in every hobby circle I'm in. That just seems to be the narrative right now. It's just everybody's kind of just waiting for the National to hit, and there's not much as far as big cards and big money, with the exception of John Newman, right? Who kind of
well, he beat the National to his card.
Yeah.
And I saw Ruben at Pittsburgh, and yeah, I mean that budget was at 1,000, and I'm hearing that from other people at other shows that the high end stuff is just not moving in person. A lot of that's moving online and auctions, and a lot of the in person stuff. I don't know the last time you guys were shopping at a show, but that seemed pretty consistent. Ruben, I don't know what you saw around the room. Or if anybody else has been to a show, what they're seeing in the buying habits. Yeah, Jeff, I don't know if the macroeconomics of the country are having an impact.
It's a good point too.
About that.
I think just uncertainty in general, and the National creates a level of uncertainty because what are we buying there? I'm looking for two specific cards. And I'll say low grade to be fair. I'm not buying Jordan jerseys. I don't have that budget. So I'm looking for a Koufax rookie and a 33 Gaudy Mo Berg. And those are the Koufax specifically is a relatively high population time. So these are PC pieces. But I am seeing the prices far lower than I did, last year's National. So those are my chase cards. But if I see a good deal before the National, Ruben said I did spend a majority on a Schmidt SGC 7.5 from that budget. I assume that's a rookie, but maybe not. And Ziggy says it's a good time. Cards are selling more to collectors or their final destinations, less middlemen flipping. Yeah, I'm definitely buying for PC right now. Anything I'm buying.
I just hope that trend continues through the national. That's what I hope.
Well, that's an excellent point. I mean, are you guys looking to get anything other than PC?
Yeah,
I rarely buy anything to flip at the national anyway.
You don't no, but you don't sell on eBay or anything.
No,
like you're
not every once in a while I will, but no.
Do you guys set collect at all?
Yeah.
Set collect now. PSA set registries. There you go.
Well, yeah,
it's part of a set, right?
That's a much more serious set collector. Chris, so you're a dollar box guy for sets?
$1, $2, $5 box, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to a lot of that.
Never know what you'll find in them. So
Korean Cardboard says, don't think I'll find anything at the National because of what I collect. Mainly going to meet friends most for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely I think the key thing.
One of the reasons why I go every year. Talk to friends. So the social aspect.
Well, and he said, I think I recall you saying John stole a Koufax rookie from you at the last national. Yes. Stole is a tough word to use, but let's just say he beat me to the purchase. So if you see a card you like and it's at a price that you're willing to pay, just buy it. It might not be there when you come back. That's my lesson. And actually, in hindsight, it's gone down a little bit, but I missed out on a very good 4 at a very good price on the Koufax rookie. Ziggy says, meeting people is probably number 1 reason people attend, or number 2. I think meeting people is a big deal. I go for a Victor man hug. There we go. I
met Scott at the National, and I was excited to see him and meet him. I gave him a big old bear hug. I think it impacted him, that bear hug.
A year later, he's bracing for this. He's going to come in like bubble wrap, just to see you. No, I think without a doubt, just running into people. But golden football is overrated, but I love your enthusiasm. Running into people, seeing, other hobby hotline people in person. We do this in 3 windows, but it's nice to see everybody in person. It's nice to get to talk for more than, just a couple of minutes on topics we have to, and actually catch up. And a lot of people definitely, it's one of the things that I think, is nice is some people do bring their families, not everybody, not every year. I had mine last year in Atlantic City because of the geography. This year, they won't be with me, but I enjoy meeting people's families and getting to know everybody better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to say goodbye. You guys have anything else before we run out of here?
This was a slow week in the hobby.
Yes.
Yeah. Not really much going on.
No, and especially like the PWCC news and that it's just been talked about so much already. It's like, wow.
Yes.
And I just feel like we start regurgitating kind of just what we've already
talking points.
Victor, you want to read this comment? Because it was, I thought this was a nice one.
It says, thank you to all your families that have or currently are serving on one of the branches of the military. There you go.
Yeah. Military appreciation.
Yep.
Without a doubt. So what about if Jordan's last shot as a Bulls jersey went to auction? Hit the biggest shot with the push off. Unfortunately, he played for the Wizards after that.
Yeah, so that wasn't his last shot.
Yeah, I mean, a great shot.
I see. It was his last shot as a Chicago Bull,
and it was the moment we talked about, Chris, where he did. You didn't have the moment in the Olympics, but that would be a moment.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
Remember the time Vince Carter dunked on that 7-foot-tall French dude in the Olympics? That jersey.
That's cool.
Vince Carter's jersey, not the French guy's jersey.
Yep, absolutely.
So what is this golden lawsuit that Ziggy has brought up like
Paul
5 times already?
Paul Lesko has written about it. I have not read everything about it.
I didn't even, this is the first time hearing about it, actually.
Yeah. So there's a third party company that puts on these shows, and then they usually sell them to the networks. And there's some disagreements on switching from one platform to the other with a third party production company. So that's the short of it. I have not read any of the court papers or Paul Lesko stuff. So as much as I speak unintelligently normally, I didn't want to add any more to that. But if anybody has more details they want to put in the comments, or Ziggy you want to put in, definitely before we run out, throw them in there. There's so much going on in clearing Series 2 checklist. Yep. Tops, Montgomery Club versus Dutch Auction for Sapphire. I don't know if that moves the needle for a lot of people. And then here's a little. Golden made a pilot in 2019. They made series in 23. The video of the pilot is out there. Check out Lesko, his great breakdown. And that's exactly what I was saying, Ziggy. Thank you. Paul Lesko is on social media. He does fantastic coverage of a lot of the legal issues in the hobby. And he's got great insight, great documentation, and great reactions. So I want to read his stuff to be fair.
I think we should invite Paul Lesko, Danny. Give this some consideration. I would love for Paul Lesko to be a part of Hobby Hotline. I wonder if he'd be open to that.
I'd certainly love to bring him on to explain, some of the stuff that he covers on social media. So I will give him a free shout out. If he doesn't follow, if you don't follow him already, definitely follow. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful hobby week. He should be monthly. Well, he should be every time we have a legal issue. He's fantastic. Have a wonderful hobby week. We go overtime enough, so I'm going to make this the undertime special episode. Victor, here we go.
There we go.
100% agreement. Can't beat that.
Yep.
All right. Everybody have a wonderful hobby hotline. Chris, take us out.
Keep on rocking in the free world.